Across the United States, rain has turned red, rivers have shifted color, storms have moved against the wind, and objects long buried have surfaced as unfamiliar lights cross the sky. These are not stray curiosities. They align into a single movement in time. As Scripture records, there will be signs, Luke 21:25. The issue is not the signs themselves, but what moment has enabled them. In recent months, a cluster of unusual events has emerged across multiple U.S. states. Red rain fell in Georgia, Florida, and Kentucky, staining streets, vehicles, and skin. Initial tests identified normal rainwater carrying an unidentified pigment. Radar detected no dust, pollen, or airborne particles capable of producing the effect. Witnesses noted a sharp metallic scent, similar to blood or scraped metal, with no confirmed source. In Texas, a stationary pillar of light appeared inside a cloud. It held a fixed vertical line with smaller points arranged like steps. Infrared instruments captured the light, yet recorded no heat. The surrounding clouds shifted with the wind, but this formation did not. In Louisiana, Mississippi, and California, fish surfaced and died in large groups as the water shifted color and released a metallic odor. Testing showed no industrial discharge, no chemical spill, and no known biological agent. Underground discoveries added another layer. Workers uncovered a sealed metal cylinder containing a small figure in a prayer posture with a rosary, dated centuries before any documented Christian presence in that region. Another dig revealed a sword-shaped object forged from material linked to meteorite fragments. Its inscription read, "Fire meets heaven." Instruments detected magnetic irregularities when it was examined. In Florida, residents reported a formation in the sky resembling two large symmetric wings of light. It remained stable for several minutes. Radar reported nothing. Meteorological models offered no explanation. Taken alone, each incident may appear isolated. Viewed together, within the same season, across sky, water, and ground, they form a pattern not easily dismissed. Scripture notes, "He who has ears to hear, let him hear." Matthew 11:15. The point is not the strangeness of each sign, but their convergence. These convergences surface at moments of transition. Politics reacts to them, but does not produce them. Prophecy precedes movement, and movement reshapes the landscape long before analysts register a shift. Something is unfolding in parallel to public life. A sequence is forming, and most have not yet recognized its alignment. The primary events across the southeastern United States. The first shift was the red rain. Georgia, Florida, and Kentucky reported it within the same week. Ordinary rainfall moved across each region, then changed tone within minutes. Clear droplets turned into deep red streaks on cars, pavement, and exposed skin. The transition was abrupt and uniform. Laboratory reports identified standard rainwater carrying an unknown pigment. No pollen signatures, no algae cells, no bacterial traces, no Sahara dust. Radar registered a clean atmosphere with no suspended particles capable of coloring precipitation. Many who stood in the rain described a metallic scent that cut through the air. The source remained unaccounted for. Texas recorded the next event. A vertical column of light formed inside a dark, compact cloud. It did not disperse. It did not sway. Smaller points of light appeared within it, aligned in a strict vertical sequence. Observers compared it to a ladder because of its ordered spacing. Meteorological instruments noted that the cloud around the formation moved with the prevailing wind, but the internal light structure remained motionless. Infrared cameras detected illumination, but no heat. There was no electrical activity and no aircraft. The anomaly stood alone, without environmental triggers. The image of a formed structure inside the sky echoed the brief line, "He stretches out the heavens." Isaiah 42:5. The formation did not claim meaning, but its precision demanded attention. In Louisiana, Mississippi, and California, waters shifted. Fish moved toward the surface in dense clusters, displayed erratic swimming patterns, then died within minutes. The water in several locations turned cloudy and produced a metallic odor similar to the rain reports in the southeast. Samples from affected areas were tested for industrial discharge, heavy metals, or biological toxins. All returned negative. No contamination markers were found. In scattered sites, the water showed a faint pink tint. The timing aligned with the red rain events, but no atmospheric or geological connection was identified. The absence of a clear cause was the only confirmed detail. New Mexico added a buried element to the sequence. Construction workers uncovered a sealed metal cylinder during routine excavation. The surface patterns resembled early Levantine work. Inside, investigators found a sculpted figure in a prayer posture, holding a rosary. Dating placed the object between 700 and 1200 years old. This exceeded any known record of Christian presence in that region by centuries. Soil analysis showed the container had been intentionally buried, not lost or discarded. Its placement was careful. Its depth was deliberate. The figure's posture aligned with a simple line spoken many times across Scripture. "Seek Him." Psalm 105:4. The artifact spoke through timing, not interpretation. Another discovery followed. A sword-shaped object emerged from a separate excavation. It carried a high concentration of iridium, common in meteorite matter. Under layers of patina, an inscription appeared: "Fire meets heaven." When researchers placed magnetometers near it, instrument readings fluctuated in continuous instability. No magnetic field should shift around a static object. Nothing in its material composition explained the disturbance. It did not resemble a weapon. It resembled a marker. In Florida, the sky produced the final primary event. Two large symmetric wings of light appeared behind thin clouds. The structure held its shape for more than 3 minutes. Weather stations recorded no radar return. No flight record matched its position. No optical pillar phenomenon fit its geometry. Residents reported a sense of weight as they watched it. Not emotional, but directional, as if the moment pointed beyond itself. The formation stood, then dissolved without drift. Its presence carried the quiet force of the verse, "Lift up your eyes." Isaiah 40:26. Each event can be reviewed as a single anomaly. Yet they arose within the same season, touching sky, water, ground, and buried history. The alignment is factual. The sequence is visible. Something is moving, and most have not recognized the pattern forming in plain sight. The pattern behind the events. The pattern begins with the scope of the disturbances. They do not remain in one domain. They cross sky, water, and ground within the same season. This is the first structural marker. Scripture gives a brief frame for this kind of alignment. The whole earth trembles. Psalm 75:3, Book of Psalms. The line is concise. It describes movement across layers, not a single phenomenon. The recent events follow that shape. In the sky, the red rain set the tone. It carried a blood-like appearance and a metallic scent, reported by many across 3 states. The Texas light pillar added a controlled structure, a geometric presence inside a cloud that should not have held form. The wing-shaped formation over Florida established symmetry, duration, and silence in a domain that rarely sustains such stability. Reports of red lightning during off-season storms in nearby regions matched the same color motif. These are separate atmospherics, yet they align in tone, timing, and visual signal. In the water, the pattern held. The discoloration, the fish die-offs, and the metallic odor matched the sensory profile of the rain. The moments of pink tint echoed the same red theme. No chemical markers connected these waters to each other, yet the symptoms stood parallel. The repetition across separate systems suggests a unified movement, rather than localized disruption. The ground contributed another layer. A prayer relic emerged from soil that had held it for centuries. A meteorite-based sword surfaced soon after, forged from material that originated outside the Earth. Both appeared during the same seasonal window as the atmospheric shifts. Their timing mattered. Their placement mattered. Nothing indicates they surfaced by accident. They re-entered the visible world as the sky and water displayed their own anomalies. Hidden objects rising in sequence match the biblical pattern found in Daniel 2:22. He reveals deep and hidden things. Book of Daniel. The text does not force meaning onto events. It outlines a rhythm. The repeated red motif is the next link. Red rain, pink-tinted waters, and red lightning form a triad. None were expected. None carried natural precursors. The color appeared in systems that do not share mechanisms. Its return in separate environments indicates a signal, not an aesthetic. Acceleration is another defining trait. These incidents did not unfold over years. They surfaced in weeks. Different states reported different anomalies, yet all within the same narrow time frame. When mapped by date, the events fall into a compact sequence. They do not scatter. They align. Convergence is the simplest and most factual descriptor. The structure mirrors prophetic language without requiring interpretation. Blood-like signs in the sky and water. The earth releasing what was once hidden. Multiple domains reacting at once. Each domain moves in sync with the others. Politics does not trigger patterns of this scale. Prophetic timing shapes political conditions, not the reverse. These events point to a transition unfolding beneath public awareness. Something is progressing across layers of creation. It is measured, it is sequential, and it is occurring while most remain focused on surface-level disruptions, unaware that a larger alignment is forming behind them. Prophetic frame in Scripture. The pattern becomes clearer when placed inside the structure Scripture already outlines. The recent events do not stand as isolated spectacles. Their weight comes from their clustering. Jesus pointed to the importance of accumulation when he said, "When you see all these things," Matthew 24:33. The phrase is specific. It marks the moment not by one sign, but by the appearance of multiple indicators operating together. The present sequence follows that logic. Sky, water, and ground, shifting within the same window of time. Prophetic language consistently treats creation as a medium that reacts before major transitions. Joel describes blood and fire and signs in the heavens and on the earth. Joel 2:30-31, Book of Joel. The wording is direct. It recognizes that natural domains can signal ahead of human awareness. The red rain, the red lightning, the water discoloration, and the metallic odor all fall within that category. They form a parallel to the scriptural pattern without depending on interpretation or speculation. The scripture does not aim to overwhelm with imagery. It establishes a rhythm. Sky signals. Waters shift. Things buried rise. The appearance of the prayer figure and the meteorite-based sword in the same season as the atmospheric disturbances fits this rhythm. These objects surfaced as the external world displayed anomalies of its own. The timing recalls the line, "He reveals deep and hidden things." Daniel 2:22, Book of Daniel. The verse stands without commentary. It fits the motion of what has emerged. The two anchor verses for this frame both emphasize the beginning phase, not the final threshold. Matthew 24:33 provides the structural cue. When you see all these things, you know that it is near, at the doors. Luke 21:28 provides the response. When these things begin to take place, straighten up and raise your heads. Book of Luke. Both passages point to awareness, not prediction. They define orientation, not a countdown. This is crucial. Prophetic structure is sequential, not numerical. The Bible gives patterns, not dates. It outlines the order in which signs gather, not the hour they resolve. The watcher's role is to identify alignment. The watcher does not assign deadlines. Political cycles cannot generate these patterns. Political cycles only reposition themselves after the patterns have already begun. Prophecy is not shaped by governments. Movements in creation shape the atmosphere in which governments act. What stands out in the present sequence is not the intensity of each event, but their synchronization. Red rain in the southeast, a formed light pillar in Texas, wing-shaped light in Florida, water anomalies in 3 separate states, buried objects surfacing after centuries, all within one season, all carrying a similar tonal signature. This is the level where scriptural patterns become functional, not symbolic. There is no requirement to declare conclusions. The only requirement is clarity. Multiple domains are signaling at once, and the arrangement resembles the early stage described in the texts. Something is unfolding, steady and measurable. The world continues forward, unaware that the alignment has already begun. Convergence with the present world context. The recent anomalies surfaced during a period already marked by instability. Moral boundaries shift. Social cohesion thins. Technology accelerates faster than collective judgment. Many sense that what is considered normal no longer holds its shape. This atmosphere forms the backdrop against which the red rain, the light formations, and the ground-level discoveries appeared. The convergence is not symbolic. It is sequential. Scripture acknowledges seasons when disorder rises and perception dulls. The days are evil. Ephesians 5:16, Book of Ephesians. The line mirrors the present climate without needing interpretation. Israel remains the fixed center of prophetic geography. This does not place the United States outside the frame. It places it in a parallel lane. Signs in other nations do not replace Israel's role. They echo around it. Jerusalem remains the reference point for the biblical timeline. Movements that appear unrelated often trace back to pressures forming around that region. The recent events in American air, water, and soil function as reminders that the axis of prophecy has not shifted. They signal the widening ripple around a central point that remains in Israel, not Washington or any other capital. Politics adapts to these deeper currents. Alliances reconfigure. Conflicts rise and settle. Leaders speak as if they steer the moment. But prophecy sets the terrain long before governments react. Scripture frames this dynamic. My counsel shall stand. Isaiah 46:10, Book of Isaiah. The text is brief and final. It implies that political motion runs inside a pre-existing outline. The anomalies we observe do not arise from political tension. Political tension forms within the same spiritual climate that produces the anomalies. Prophecy directs the contour. Governments move within it, often without recognizing the boundaries shaping their decisions. Technology adds another layer. Modern recording tools capture phenomena that older generations could not document with precision or speed. Drones, home security systems, and satellite feeds generate a volume of evidence that makes patterns easier to track. This does not confirm that signs are increasing. It confirms that signs are harder to ignore. Increased visibility strengthens the role of the watcher. With more information comes a greater obligation to discern alignment and timing. Natural anomalies always trigger debate. Scientists examine mechanisms. Analysts search for environmental explanations. Believers evaluate the same events through a scriptural lens. These responses do not compete. They operate on parallel tracks. The relevant question is not whether one cloud formation or one red rain incident proves anything. The relevant question is whether the collective motion matches the prophetic pattern of convergence. Jesus pointed to that pattern when he spoke of all these things appearing together. Matthew 24:33, Book of Matthew. The standard is cumulative, not selective. Weather shifts raise questions. So does the emergence of artifacts. So do the synchronized anomalies across different states. Each event sits inside a broader context where global instability grows. Israel remains central. Technology amplifies visibility, and political systems move inside a spiritual framework they did not design. None of this requires sensationalism. It only requires observation. Something is gathering across domains. It is measured. It is coherent. And it unfolds while much of the world remains occupied with surface conflicts, unaware of the deeper structure forming beneath them. The meaning of this particular moment. The present sequence resembles a threshold. It is not collapse. It is the early tremor phase. Jesus marked this stage as meaningful on its own, when these things begin to take place. Luke 21:28, Book of Luke. The emphasis falls on the beginning, not the conclusion. That is the posture required now. Sign density is the defining feature of this moment. Multiple domains responded within a single season. Sky disturbances, water anomalies, land-based discoveries, buried objects surfacing in sync with atmospheric shifts. These do not form a catastrophic picture. They form a concentrated one. Their density separates this period from the usual cycle of unusual weather or isolated anomalies. The convergence signals a shift in timing. Information exposure heightens the weight of these events. A sign recorded in Georgia can be seen globally within minutes. A light formation in Texas can be reviewed frame by thousands. This minimizes the space for complete disregard. It also increases accountability. With greater visibility comes the responsibility to interpret with steadiness, avoiding both dismissal and exaggeration. The moment calls for watchfulness, not speculation. The pattern does not invite date setting. It invites clarity about one's orientation toward God, Scripture, and the trajectory of this age. The events function as a filter. Some will classify everything as coincidence. Others will see alignment that requires sober attention. The distinction matters. Preparation outweighs prediction. Prophetic time is marked by readiness, not by a calendar. The convergence of signs points to a need for alignment. Priorities brought into order, loyalties clarified, and life positioned toward the kingdom that Scripture presents as the final structure standing when all others shift. Governments, institutions, and systems move within that larger framework, often unaware. Something is unfolding. It is early, but it is real. And the world moves forward as if nothing has changed. The recent sequence of red rain, disturbed waters, abnormal storms, unexplained lights, and unearthed artifacts operates as a signal, not a conclusion. It reflects creation moving in alignment with patterns recorded in Scripture, layered signs appearing within the same season. The fitting response is neither alarm nor enthusiasm. It is steady vigilance. Jesus stated, "Watch, Mark 13:37, Book of Mark. History is not wandering. It advances along a line God has already set. The moment requires attention, clarity, and readiness to discern what most overlook. Something is unfolding, and the world has yet to recognize its shape.